right, well, I'm not having anybody introduce me today because I'm the home team. Hi, my name is Eileen Kierton and I am your spiritual director. Yay, and I have just completed my first week and a half continuously on the coast in my new house. Yes, just in time to go home on Tuesday, but that's okay, I'll be back. I've got some doctor's appointments back in San Jose and some things that I need to take care of there, but I will be back in June for 2 weeks. I'll be speaking 2 weeks in June, but again, we'll be starting our class. So, welcome. Hello to everybody online. Hi Marcus, hi Kenneth, hi Freya, hi Arlene. I'm so glad to see you. And hello to all of those that are listening or watching. We're recording today because I thought, you know what, it's kind of fun to see who's talking, right?
Yeah.
It's lovely to listen, but it's kind of fun to see who's speaking. So speaking today is also my mother. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers and those who have mothered in any way whatsoever. You know, a lot of men have mothered, and a lot of people who haven't given birth to children have mothered. And a lot of people have mothered a lot, right? We mother our spouses, we mother our family members, we mother our friends, we mother our pets, our yard, our home, right? The whole world, right? We mother. So as we honor Mother's Day today, we honor all of those who mother. And I am going to put on my button. This is a button of my mother. I had her on earlier and I thought, no, I want to put her on in front of all of you. My mother passed 7 years ago, and my mother's the one that introduced me to Ernest Holmes and the Science of Mind back in the 70s, the early 70s. I was very little. Very, very little. There's little bits and pieces I remember. And she was in a Friday morning prayer group. She met through the AAUW, a bunch of women that were part of the AAUW in San Jose, and they invited her to this Friday prayer group. And we were in preschool at the time. So she would drop us off at preschool down in the basement, and she would go up to the top of the tower at this Presbyterian church. And there was this group of women that would gather once a week and pray. And they would read something sacred. And oftentimes it was the Science of Mind. So my mother was learning the Science of Mind through these amazing women. Those women met for over 65 years. Wow. Every Friday, there is one surviving member of that group. Wow. They were like my extra set of mamas. They were like my extra set of mamas. But I was telling the people this morning, the reason I have a button of my mother's smiling face is because when she passed, I was having a hard time. We all do, right? When our mothers or our fathers, if we have a deep connection with them, or the people that have mothered us, when they pass, it's heartbreaking. I remember saying to my brother when he asked me, how are you dealing with this? I said, I'm seeing a therapist. And he said, you? Of all people. And I said, I don't know about you, Glenn, but I have never lost my mother before. I don't know how to do this. So I was exclaiming that on Facebook that there's no way to tell people when you're grieving, right? There's no way for people to know anymore. You can't wear all black. Everybody in Silicon Valley wears all black. Right? I can't wear an armband. They'd all look at me and go, what the heck is wrong with you? Or, is that a new style? Right? I said on Facebook, you know what would be really great? If I can wear a button that just let people know that I'm grieving. But buttons aren't cool anymore like they were in the 80s. And about a week and a half later, I got it through interoffice mail. I still, to this day, do not know who sent it. A dozen of these buttons of my mother's smiling face, and a handwritten big note that said, who said buttons can't be cool? So I wore the button for a long, long time. And every year at her anniversary, because it would sneak up on me and I would just get overwhelmed with the grief bomb, I would put the button on to let people around me know that I was feeling. I was squishy. Right? Now today I get to wear her in celebration. But everybody in my family has a button of mom's face. There's one in my car. This one comes from my jewelry box. It's my very sacred one. So, in honor of our mothers. In fact, let's all together just say our mother's name into the room. Judith. Yeah. All those people, all those women are the shoulders from which we stand on. Bless you, my love. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. Right? If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. And I promise next month we'll talk about dads. But moms are really, really important. All right. Are you good, Mom? She's like, no. No, keep talking about me. Your time's later. Your time's later. You can ask me about my mom afterwards. She was an amazing woman. Amazing, amazing woman. So this month, we are talking about, our monthly theme is good to great to grand. And last week, George talked to us about our inner landscape and all of those parts of us that were coming forward, that come up for each of us to work with. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the value-led life. We're going to talk about our attention and our passion and our beliefs. We're going to explore our core values and how to live from those values more fully. You know, this all begins by understanding the areas where we focus our attention and energy. What is it that you think about all day long? What is it that you think about? How do you wake up in the morning? What's the first thought that comes to mind? Anybody?
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Thank you.
Thank you. What?
Just God energy.
God
Just tap
energy.
in. Yep.
What's the first thing that you say to yourself?
The first thing out of my mouth is thank you, God, for another day in paradise.
Thank you, God, for another day in paradise. Yeah. I asked my husband this morning, what's the first thing you think of when you wake up? And he said, coffee. Yeah, that's about right. Coffee. Coffee. Some days I wake up in a weird space. Has anybody ever woken up in a weird space? And then it kind of, if you don't give it attention for a second, it kind of lingers. And it's like carrying a monkey on your back. Ugh, this weird space. It happens. You have a weird dream and you wake up and you're like, what just happened? I personally, when that happens, I stay in bed a little bit longer. I have a talk with myself. Self, what was that about? What was that about? Here's what I've learned. If we ask those thoughts what it is that we want, that they want from us, they often will tell us and then go away.
Wow.
They need attention. You acknowledge it, you say thank you, not today, and they'll go away. I woke up the night before last in the middle of the night and opened my eyes and the sky was green. Anyone else see the aurora borealis? I saw green in the middle of the night. And I tell you, it looked as if it was, to me, I kept blinking my eyes, thinking, am I really seeing this? Are my eyes really dry? What's going on? I was too tired, not quite awake enough to get out of bed. But this is what I saw. Laying in my bed, I have this beautiful view of the forest. And I keep my curtains wide open because there's nobody behind me that can see me. And I opened my eyes and I swear it was like green twinkly lights. Anybody else see this? It was twinkly lights. I thought, wait, what? I kept blinking my eyes and I rubbed them.
Wow.
What is this? And then I realized it's God. It's God. It wasn't a bunch of little green aliens looking through my window. It was God showing up and to show me something beautiful. So I went from that panic, oh God, what was that, to, oh God, what is that, right? There was this complete shift. But in the moment, at the first moment I opened my eyes, it freaked me out. I knew it was going to be there. But I fell asleep early, so I didn't stay up late enough to watch it, and I forgot to set an alarm to get up and see it. And unfortunately, last night, when we were still wide awake and the fog came in, we started driving east and driving and driving. And finally, my husband said, "I'm not driving anymore." So we turned around and came home. But so he didn't see it. He's colorblind. He said he probably wouldn't notice it anyway. But it's all about how is it that we're exploring our thoughts, right? So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about three things: attention, passion, and beliefs. And I already said where we place our attention plays a vital role in the process of discovering and living our true values. What are your values? Your values are what you're putting your attention on. Right? Are you comparing yourself to others? Are you feeling as though you are not enough? Or are you acknowledging and celebrating others? Are you celebrating yourself? Are you singing your song? All very important things. Where we direct our energy and attention determines what we perceive, what we experience, and ultimately it becomes the priorities in our lives. I know so many young people that live on their computer and their devices. You know, they're walking around with that computer in their pocket, right? I spilled my husband's secrets all the time. He's constantly on it. Constantly. And I say to him, "What are you watching?" "Oh, car videos." Okay. But when I'm at church on Sunday, what is he watching? I've told you all before. The car races, NASCAR races. They go around and 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 around. And I say to him, "What's so exciting about this?" He says, "The crashes."
Oh, jeez.
Oh. So you're looking for the destruction. And he looked at me and he said, "I wouldn't say that." I said, "Well, I did." You're looking for the destruction. He says to me, "Eileen, why do you love those TV dramas about fire departments and police departments and medical dramas?" And I said, "Because they're helping people. They're saving people. I feel good at the end. Yeah, sometimes there's tears and sometimes there's frustrations, but they always wrap it up in a pretty little bow at the end. They're honoring somebody, they're celebrating somebody, they're helping people." I love that kind of show. I'm a junkie. What can I say? I love that kind of show. And I love shows about animals. I love shows about nature. Sometimes I even like America's Funniest Videos.
Yes.
I do not like the ones where people hurt themselves. Right? Those ones make me cringe, but I like the ones where they're just funny. People are being funny, especially when the children are just being silly.
Yeah.
When's the last time you were silly? Anybody here silly in the last couple of days? This morning? I got a phone call when I was at the gathering place the other day. I got a phone call from UPS. They said, "We have a package for you, but our driver can't get down your road. There's too much overhang, too many branches, too much stuff," which, by the way, I took care of yesterday. But they couldn't deliver it. Was there someplace they wanted me that they could deliver it to, or could I come pick it up? Well, our practitioner students were having their exam, so I couldn't go pick it up. I said to them, "Do you know where Gail lives?" Gail used to work with them, and they said, "Yeah." I said, "She's my aunt." They said, "Yeah." I said, "Will you go drop it off on her porch?" And he said, "Is she in town?" I said, "No, she just left yesterday to go back up to Washington to be with her daughter and her family. But if you leave it on her porch, I'll go pick it up." So I'm texting Gail as I'm walking into the prac exam saying, "Hey, just so you know, UPS is going to drop a package on your porch. It's for me. I'll pick it up tonight." Right? So I go to pick it up afterwards, and she's got a Ring camera pointing right out her front window so she could see whoever pulls up into her driveway. And what did Eileen do? Eileen got out of the car and she pretended, "You can't see me." And then I picked up my package and I turned and went, and I put down the package and I started doing silly dances and making silly faces right into her Ring camera. I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it all out. I mean, I was kicking, I was flipping, I was spinning circles, I was, and waving. And as I got in the car, I waved on the way out the driveway, and I sent her a text, and I said I did a dance for Beckett. Beckett is her grandson, and he's been having a hard time lately. He's 4. And she said, "What?" And a few hours later, I texted her back. I said, "Look at your Ring camera history." And she wrote back, "Oh my God, that is hysterical." Right? That was my mother, by the way, coming through me. That was something my mom would have done. And I thought, what a great way to just be silly and celebrate life. That's where I want to focus my attention. How can I be silly and celebrate life every day? The next thought is passion. Understand the things that stir passion inside of you. That points us in the direction of our values. Where are your passions? And are you working towards those passions every day? If your passion is gardening, when's the last time you got out to the garden? If your passion is building community, when's the last time you gathered a group of people together? If your passion is music, when's the last time you sang? Right? Our passion is what connects us to that something greater within each and every one of us. And it's really important. And when we recognize and honor those passions, we then align ourselves with our authentic selves. Our authentic selves. When we are in our passion, I used to tell engineers this when they were coding. I'd say, do you get lost when you're coding? Does everything just kind of go black around you and all you see is the screen? And they said, yes. I said, does that make you happy? They said, yes. I said, close your eyes and imagine that. And then ask yourself, is this a green light or a red light activity for me? And see what light turns on. Every once in a while, I'd have somebody say to me, I got a red light. Oh. If what you're doing, if you think about it and it doesn't give you a green light, look at it again. Look at it again. What is it that gives you a green light? And if it's not what you're doing, maybe you could do it differently, or maybe you need to learn another skill or turn a different direction or pull up a new skill. Our passions change over time because we're continuing to grow every single day. One of my favorite affirmations is every day in every way, I'm growing, growing, growing. Every day, in every way, I'm growing, growing, growing. I mean, opening at the top, as Ernest Holmes said. You know, Ernest Holmes, when we're talking about these things, he wrote in The Science of Mind, he said, releasing the weight of past limiting beliefs and judgment frees us to rise up in faith, which is mental assertion elevated to the plane of realism. What he's saying is through self-exploration, we can uncover underlying limiting systems of belief, therefore releasing ourselves from the constraints that those limiting beliefs might impose. Self-exploration, that's what we do here. That's why we say change your entire life by changing your mind. Shift where your attention is going. And finally, beliefs. Our beliefs serve as the foundation upon which our values are built. They shape the way we perceive ourselves, our others, and the world around us. If I am online watching videos of people doing dumb things, that's the world I'm expecting to see. Right? If I'm online and I'm watching videos of people using foul language, that's what I'm going to become. Again, I'm going to give up Mark, my husband. When we started dating, every sentence had the F word in it. Right? I have no problem using that word. But every sentence? He works in construction. Right? It's a common word in construction. And I said to him, why do you use that word? It's kind of foul. He said, well, that's the way I talk. And I said, and I challenged him. I said, can you go a sentence without using the word? And he said, of course I can. I said, all right, do it. It was hard. It was really hard. You know what I know all these years later? He very rarely uses that word around me. I don't know what he's doing at work, but he very rarely uses that word around me anymore. I mean, I love that word. Brigitte loves that word. I use it to emphasize things, both good and bad, right? But I don't use it on a regular basis. It was changing. It's changing the way I'm acting in the world, then changes my attention, it changes my passion, and it helps solidify my beliefs. His life changed.
He got you.
He got me. We were destined. We were destined. His life is completely different than it was 11 years ago. By changing his mind. And he doesn't even realize it. Because he doesn't come to church. And that's okay. Because he gets it through me, right? There's no way he can't get it. So if your partner, your spouse, your kids aren't coming, just be who you are. It will shift the people around you. And if it doesn't shift that particular person, it will shift the people around you by bringing new people that align with your beliefs, your passions, and your attention. It's really interesting when I think about my friends that I had when Mark and I first met when I was a teenager versus the friends I have today. Oh, they are so much different. I elevated who I wanted to be around. I elevated myself. And I brought those people around me. And because of they were being who they were, I was lifted. What's that saying? Look at the 5 people around you. You are the sum of those 5 people. You are the sum of those 5 people. So if you're hanging around people that bring you down, maybe find a new person to fill that spot. If you are that person in your group that's bringing everyone down, I've been that. I've actually said to my friends, you know what? I am not good in this group. There's something that I need to go work on, and I will call you later. But I need to fix something in myself. What I realized is it was jealousy because I was feeling that I wasn't enough. That was a hard one to admit. But the healthiest thing for all of us, right? Sometimes it's us. So when we harness the power of attention and passion and belief, we can then take steps toward living a value-led life. And this starts by cultivating mindfulness and directing our attention towards understanding our core values. Michael Beckwith says this: as the alchemist of your own life, find a bit of the frequency you want to experience and place your attention there. As it becomes your perception, then live from there. When I read that, I think, what is it that I want to be and express more of? Do you ever meet somebody and you're like, ooh, I want what you have? Right? You think, what is it that they have? I want some of that. Think about it. Find just a bit of that frequency that they're exuding and lean into it. Emulate it. Practice it. If you know that person, ask them, what is it? I've had people do that to me. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just me. But the more that they asked me, the more I started talking about my practices and my belief systems and my values. And the more they got to start to understand what their values were. This is why I love mindfulness meditation. And visioning for myself. Anybody here ever done visioning? Yeah, it's an amazing practice. And if you want to know more, ask anybody that raised their hand. It's an amazing practice of asking our higher selves, what is the greatest and highest good for me? And just listening. Eric Butterworth in the Creative Life, he writes, there is a hidden genius in each person which we each give expression to through commitment, discipline, enthusiasm, and passion. Passion. So here's your homework for the week. I want you to identify your top 15 values. Now, remember, when you make your selection, these are your values. These aren't anybody else's. And they may be different values than what you had 6 months ago, a year ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's okay. Values change because we're changing. Then what I want you to do is I want you to choose your top 10 from that list of 15 and then narrow it down to 5 from there. What are your 5 top values? And I will send out a link in the newsletter for next week where you can come up with some life values, some words that might help you. And then I want you to ask, what insight did this exercise provide? Were there any surprises? Every time I do this, I have a surprise. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes I think, maybe I need to refocus my attention. Which is still good, right? Because it's giving me insight into what I'm doing. So, in closing, look at your values, look at your beliefs, and look at where you're setting, where your attention is going, right? I want you to ask yourself, what are some areas where I'm not living from my values? You can ask yourself, how do my values inform my activity in the world? And now that once you identify those values, what do they tell you about yourself? You might be surprised. You might be delighted. And I encourage you, find someone you trust and share it with them. There's something that happens when we share it with someone we trust. And if you don't have anyone, call me. If you don't have my number, call. Catherine will give it to you. Call me, we'll talk about it. All right. Let's pray. So turning within, I acknowledge, and I know that there is something, I call it God, you might call it love, divine presence, divine intelligence, light, you might call it the doorknob or the forest, it might be the fog or the ocean. Whatever it is that you call it, we know that it is that one thing, that one energy that just is. It is life, it is light, it is love, it is power, it is joy, it is beauty. It is all of these things and more. And I know that I, Eileen Curitan, am a part of all of that. I know that I am created in the image and likeness of all of those things. That I am an expression of it showing up as Eileen right here in this moment. And I know that to be the truth for every person in this room, for every person listening online, watching online, that everyone is a divine expression of the one with many, many names. I know that as we look at our beliefs, we focus our attention and we identify our passions. We do so in a state of love and welcoming acceptance. That same love and welcoming acceptance, I know, is provided for each and every being on this planet. That there is no separation. And that as we change our thinking, yes, we change our entire lives. I acknowledge that there is pain in this world. And I acknowledge that a healing is available right now. I acknowledge that there is physical healing to be done on this planet. And I also know that it is available right now. That each and every person that is feeling any way of a broken heart, whether it be abundance, love, health, whatever it is, that Spirit is pouring through them right now, providing a healing, because Spirit is. I'm knowing this for the planet, that each and every one of us, as we ground and we align ourselves with the one divine presence within us, we connect and circle the entire planet with this energy. As we can see it in our mind's eye, we raise the vibration, we raise the truth, and we know then truly that there is all with a capital A. Everything that we see and we feel and we touch, it is all. And it is so very good. So I stand here in gratitude for these teachings, in gratitude for the knowing and my personal connection with that divine. I'm in gratitude of my mother and all of our mothers, every mothering experience that we have ever had. Whether they be blood related, four-legged, or two. I am grateful for every bit of the mothering that we have experienced. And I bless all those mothers. And so I just release my prayer. I release my prayer into the law of mind, knowing that it is already done. That before these words were even spoken, Spirit, God, Goddess was already saying, yes, yes, yes. And my job is to realize it, believe it, and embody it. I do that. I embody it, knowing that it's already done. So again, releasing this prayer into the law, I ask that you all join me in closing it by saying, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you.